What if I told you that you're living in a prison right now, but the bars are made of pleasure instead of steel? That every scroll through your phone, every binge-watching session, every impulse purchase isn't really your choice, but the result of a psychological control system so sophisticated that Aldous Huxley predicted it nearly a century ago? Here's the uncomfortable truth that'll make your skin crawl. You're not free. You think you are, but you're actually trapped in the most effective form of social control ever devised, one that makes you beg for your own chains while calling it entertainment, progress, and personal choice. Most people think dystopian control looks like Orwell's 1984, surveillance cameras, thought police, and brutal oppression. But Huxley saw something far more sinister coming. A world where people would be controlled through pleasure, where they'd trade their freedom for comfort so gradually they wouldn't even notice it happening. And guess what? That world isn't coming. It's here. Right now. You're living in it. Your smartphone is your Soma, your social media feed is your Feely, and your consumer culture is your psychological conditioning program. The scary part? You're probably defending this system even as it slowly dissolves your capacity for independent thought, genuine relationships, and authentic happiness. See, while everyone was worried about Big Brother watching them, they missed the real threat, Big Brother making them too distracted and addicted to care about being watched. Why bother oppressing people when you can make them oppress themselves while thinking they're having a good time? Why use force when pleasure is so much more effective? Huxley understood that the perfect totalitarian state wouldn't look like a police state. It would look like a theme park, a shopping mall, an endless stream of entertainment designed to keep you docile, distracted, and dependent. But here's what's really going to blow your mind, and why you need to stick around until the end of this video. The same forces that Huxley warned about aren't just controlling what you buy or watch, they're rewiring your brain, reshaping your desires, and literally changing who you are as a human being. By the time we're done, you'll see how entertainment, social media, consumerism, and instant gratification aren't just harmless pleasures. They're weapons of mass distraction that have turned you into a voluntary slave. And more importantly, you'll discover the specific strategies to break free from this pleasure prison before it's too late. Trust me, what you're about to learn will change how you see everything, and it might just save your sanity in the process. You know, back in 1932, while most folks were worried about economic depression and rising totalitarian regimes, Aldous Huxley was peering into a crystal ball that would make Nostradamus jealous. His Brave New World wasn't just another sci-fi novel. It was a prophetic warning wrapped in brilliant storytelling. Huxley saw something that even Orwell missed in his darker vision of 1984. While Orwell imagined control through fear and punishment, Huxley predicted something far more insidious: control through pleasure. He understood that you don't need jackbooted thugs when you've got people begging for their own chains, as long as those chains feel good. Think about it. Huxley's world wasn't built on surveillance and terror. It was built on Soma, endless entertainment, and instant gratification. People weren't forced into submission. They were seduced into it. The citizens of his dystopian society didn't rebel because they were too busy feeling good to notice they weren't free. It's like watching someone get addicted to a drug while thinking they're just having fun at a party. Huxley's genius was recognizing that pleasure control could be far more effective than any authoritarian regime because people would actually defend the system that enslaved them. They'd call it freedom, progress, even happiness. Here's where it gets really unsettling. Huxley wasn't just writing fiction. He was mapping out a blueprint that would unfold over the next century with frightening accuracy. His characters were conditioned from birth to consume, to seek instant pleasure, and to avoid any discomfort or deep thinking. Sound familiar? They lived in a world where complicated emotions were medicated away, where relationships were shallow and disposable, and where questioning the system was seen as a mental illness. Huxley understood that the most effective prison isn't one with bars, it's one where the prisoners don't even realize they're trapped. What makes Huxley's prophetic warning so chilling is how willingly his fictional society embraced their own enslavement. They didn't just accept the system, they loved it, they defended it, they couldn't imagine living without it. And that's the real kicker. When people become addicted to their chains, they'll fight anyone who tries to remove them. It's like trying to help an addict who insists they don't have a problem. But here's the thing that should really make your skin crawl. Huxley didn't just predict this future of pleasure control, he essentially gave us the instruction manual for creating it. And someone, somewhere, has been following that manual to the letter. In Huxley's dystopia, Soma was the perfect drug. No hangover, no side effects, just pure bliss on demand. It kept the masses docile, content, and completely uninterested in questioning their reality. Now, you might be thinking, well, thank God we don't have Soma in our world. But here's the uncomfortable truth that'll make you squirm in your seat. We don't have one Soma, we have dozens of them. And unlike Huxley's fictional drug, our versions are legal, socially acceptable, and actively promoted by billion-dollar industries. We've got digital Soma streaming through our phones 24/7, chemical Soma lining the shelves of every store, and social Soma that makes us feel connected while keeping us isolated. Your smartphone isn't just a communication device, it's a Soma dispensary that fits in your pocket. Every notification triggers a small hit of dopamine. Every scroll through social media delivers another microdose of pleasure. It's engineered addiction, my friend, designed by some of the smartest behavioral psychologists money can buy. They've literally hired the same experts who designed casino slot machines to make your apps more addictive. Think about that for a second. The little red notification badge, the infinite scroll, the variable reward schedule. It's all carefully crafted to keep you coming back for more. You're not using your phone. Your phone is using you, turning you into a dopamine-seeking lab rat pressing a lever for the next hit. But the digital Soma is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got consumer Soma that promises happiness through purchasing power, retail therapy that never quite satisfies but always promises the next purchase will be different. We've got entertainment Soma that keeps us binge-watching series while our real lives slip away unnoticed. Food has become Soma. Sex has become Soma. Even fitness and wellness have been turned into Soma, endless pursuits of pleasure and comfort that keep us too busy consuming to ever start thinking. It's brilliant, really, in the most diabolical way possible. Why bother oppressing people when you can make them oppress themselves while thinking they're having a good time? Here's what's really twisted about our modern Soma. Unlike Huxley's version, ours comes with the illusion of choice and individuality. You can choose Netflix or Amazon Prime, iPhone or Android, Coca-Cola or Pepsi. But all these choices lead to the same destination: passive consumption and psychological dependence. It's like being offered 100 different flavors of the same poison and being told you're free because you get to pick your favorite taste. The Soma of our time doesn't just numb us to reality. It makes us believe that numbness is enlightenment, that distraction is engagement, and that consumption is creation. And just like in Brave New World, the scariest part isn't that this system exists. It's how desperately we cling to it when someone suggests there might be another way to live. You ever notice how the word entertainment comes from the Latin word meaning to hold between? It literally means to hold someone in a state of suspension, caught between reality and distraction. The entertainment industry didn't stumble upon this power by accident. They've perfected the art of holding your attention hostage while your life slips by unnoticed. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in complete silence for more than 5 minutes without reaching for your phone, turning on the TV, or finding some other form of mental stimulation? If you're like most people, that question probably makes you uncomfortable. That discomfort isn't accidental. It's the result of decades of conditioning that's taught you to fear boredom more than death. In Huxley's world, citizens were kept perpetually entertained with feelies, movies that engaged all the senses and left no room for independent thought. Sound familiar? Our modern entertainment has evolved into something even more sophisticated and invasive. We've got streaming services that know your viewing habits better than you do, algorithms that predict what you'll want to watch before you even know you want to watch it, and content designed to binge watch that keeps you glued to your screen for hours on end. It's not entertainment anymore, it's behavioral programming disguised as fun. You think you're choosing what to watch, but the algorithm is choosing you, shaping your desires, influencing your thoughts, and gradually rewiring your brain to need constant stimulation. But here's where it gets really insidious. Entertainment isn't just stealing your time, it's stealing your capacity for deep thought and genuine human connection. When you're constantly consuming other people's stories, you stop creating your own. When you're perpetually entertained, you lose the ability to be present with yourself and others. Boredom, which used to be the catalyst for creativity and self-reflection, has become an extinct emotion. We've become so addicted to external stimulation that we've forgotten how to generate internal meaning. It's like being fed pre-chewed food for so long that you lose the ability to digest anything substantial on your own. The entertainment trap is particularly cruel because it masquerades as relaxation and self-care. I deserve to unwind, you tell yourself as you dive into another Netflix series. I need to decompress, you rationalize while scrolling through TikTok for the third hour straight. But here's the brutal truth. You're not unwinding. You're winding tighter. You're not decompressing. You're compressing your attention span, your patience, and your ability to tolerate discomfort. Real relaxation comes from presence, not distraction. Real peace comes from being comfortable with yourself, not from being constantly entertained by others. And this addiction to entertainment isn't just changing how you spend your free time, it's rewiring your brain in ways that make you more susceptible to other forms of control. Here's a question that might sting a little. When did you stop being a human being and start being a consumer? Because somewhere along the way, that's exactly what happened. You weren't born wanting the latest iPhone, craving name brand clothing, or believing that happiness could be purchased with a credit card. These desires were carefully cultivated, programmed into your psyche through decades of sophisticated marketing that would make Edward Bernays himself proud. The consumer culture isn't just about selling you stuff, it's about selling you an identity, a sense of worth, and a temporary escape from the emptiness that consumer culture itself created. It's like a snake eating its own tail, except the snake is your wallet and the tail is your soul. Think about how consumerism has hijacked every aspect of human experience. Feeling sad? Buy something. Feeling happy? Celebrate by buying something. Feeling insecure? Buy something to boost your confidence. Feeling confident? Buy something to maintain that feeling. We've been conditioned to believe that every emotion, every life milestone, every moment of significance requires a purchase. Christmas isn't about family anymore, it's about shopping. Love isn't about connection, it's about expensive gifts. Success isn't about achievement, it's about what you can afford to display. We've literally turned human emotions into marketing opportunities, and most people don't even realize they're being played. But here's what's really diabolical about the consumer trap. It's designed to never satisfy. Every purchase promises fulfillment but delivers only temporary relief followed by renewed craving. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. Each sip makes you thirstier than before. The fashion industry creates artificial seasons to make your clothes obsolete. The tech industry designs planned obsolescence to ensure your devices fail right after the warranty expires. The beauty industry profits from insecurity by constantly changing standards of attractiveness. It's not incompetence, it's strategy. A satisfied customer is a lost customer. They need you perpetually hungry, perpetually inadequate, perpetually reaching for the next purchase that will finally make you whole. The most insidious part of consumer culture is how it's convinced you that your consumption choices are expressions of your individuality and freedom. I buy therefore I am has become the modern motto, replacing Descartes with marketing slogans. You think you're expressing your personality through your purchases, but you're actually conforming to demographic profiles created by data analysts. Your unique style was focus grouped to death before you ever saw it in a store. Your personal brand preferences were programmed into you through repetitive advertising campaigns. You're not a free-thinking individual making independent choices. You're a data point in a spreadsheet, a walking testament to the power of behavioral psychology and mass manipulation. And the scariest part? The system doesn't just want your money, it wants something far more valuable. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When did you last go a full day without checking your social media? If you can't remember, or if the thought makes you anxious, congratulations, you've experienced firsthand what Huxley predicted about instant gratification addiction. Social media platforms aren't just websites, they're psychological slot machines designed to exploit the same neural pathways that make gambling so addictive. Every like, comment, and share triggers a small release of dopamine, creating a feedback loop that keeps you coming back for more. The designers of these platforms studied laboratory rats pressing levers for cocaine to understand how to make their products more irresistible. Think about that for a moment. They literally use drug addiction research to design your daily digital experience. But the instant gratification problem goes way deeper than just social media addiction. We've created a culture where waiting for anything has become intolerable. 2-day shipping isn't fast enough anymore. We need same-day delivery. Buffering for 5 seconds on a video feels like an eternity. Standing in line for more than a few minutes triggers genuine distress. We've trained our brains to expect immediate satisfaction for every desire, every whim, every passing thought. It's like we've turned ourselves into spoiled children who throw tantrums when the world doesn't immediately cater to our wants. The patience required for anything meaningful, building relationships, developing skills, creating something worthwhile, has been systematically eroded by technologies designed to give us everything now, now, now. Here's where it gets really scary. This constant need for instant gratification is rewiring your brain in ways that make you more impulsive, less focused, and increasingly incapable of delayed gratification. Studies show that heavy social media users have shorter attention spans than goldfish. We're literally becoming less human and more like simple organisms responding to basic stimulus response patterns. You can't focus on reading a book because your brain keeps expecting the rapid-fire stimulation of scrolling through feeds. You can't have a deep conversation because your mind keeps wandering to the notifications buzzing in your pocket. You can't sit still with your own thoughts because you've trained yourself to need constant external validation and stimulation. The most disturbing aspect of our instant gratification culture is how it's making us incapable of working toward long-term goals or building anything of lasting value. Why learn a skill over months or years when you can watch a 5-minute tutorial and feel like you've accomplished something? Why build deep relationships when you can get immediate social validation from strangers online? Why pursue meaningful work when you can get instant dopamine hits from mindless entertainment? We're trading our future selves for immediate pleasure, mortgaging our potential for momentary satisfaction. And just like the citizens in Brave New World, we're starting to lose the ability to even imagine that there might be something more fulfilling than this endless cycle of craving and temporary satisfaction. But what makes this particularly insidious is how the system has convinced us that we're making all these choices freely. Here's a reality check that might shatter your worldview. You think you're making independent choices, but you're actually dancing to a choreography you never learned, following a script you never read. The illusion of choice is perhaps the most sophisticated form of control ever devised because it makes you complicit in your own manipulation. You feel free because you can choose between Coke and Pepsi, but both options lead to the same outcome: sugar addiction and corporate profit. You feel empowered because you can pick your political tribe, but both sides are playing the same game of keeping you angry, distracted, and divided. It's like being offered a choice between two different colored prison uniforms and being told you're free because you got to pick your favorite color. Think about your daily routine. How much of it is actually your choice versus programmed behavior? You wake up and immediately check your phone because the notifications trained you to start your day with digital stimulation. You grab coffee from the same chain because their marketing convinced you it's part of your identity. You listen to music or podcasts during your commute because silence has become unbearable. You eat lunch at prescribed times whether you're hungry or not because society told you that's when meals happen. Even your thoughts aren't entirely your own. They're influenced by the last article you read, the last video you watched, the last conversation you had with someone whose opinions were shaped by the same media ecosystem. You're not living your life. You're performing a role that was written for you by forces you barely recognize. The digital age has made the illusion of choice more powerful than ever. Your social media feed is personalized just for you, making you feel special and unique while actually trapping you in an echo chamber that reinforces your existing beliefs and biases. Search engines show you results they think you want to see, creating the illusion that your worldview reflects objective reality rather than algorithmic manipulation. Dating apps give you endless options while actually limiting your choices to people who fit predetermined categories. Even your entertainment feels personalized, but it's really just sophisticated pattern recognition designed to keep you consuming. You're not making choices. You're being guided through a maze by invisible handlers who know your psychological profile better than you do. What makes the illusion of choice so effective is that questioning it feels like questioning your own agency and identity. To admit that your preferences might be manufactured, that your opinions might be programmed, that your desires might be artificially implanted, it's almost too threatening to consider. So instead, you defend your choices as expressions of your authentic self, never realizing that your authentic self might be largely a creation of forces beyond your awareness. It's like being hypnotized and then defending every suggestion as your own brilliant idea. The system doesn't need to force you to comply when it can make you believe that compliance was your idea all along. But perhaps the most insidious aspect of modern control is how we've been convinced to surrender something even more precious than our freedom of choice. You know what's fascinating? Nobody ever sits down and makes a conscious decision to trade their freedom for comfort. It happens gradually, one small compromise at a time, until you wake up one day in a cage so comfortable you don't even recognize it as confinement. Huxley understood that the most effective way to enslave people isn't through force, it's through making slavery feel like luxury. Every convenience you embrace, every comfort you prioritize, every safety net you rely on comes with invisible strings attached. The smartphone that keeps you connected also tracks your every movement. The credit card that gives you purchasing power also creates financial dependence. The streaming service that entertains you also shapes your thoughts and preferences. You're not just a customer, you're the product being harvested. Think about how many freedoms you've already surrendered without even realizing it. You gave up privacy for convenience when you started using GPS and social media. You gave up financial independence when you became comfortable with debt and monthly subscriptions. You gave up intellectual autonomy when you started letting algorithms decide what you should read, watch, and think about. You gave up physical resilience when you chose comfort over challenge, ease over effort. Each trade seemed reasonable at the time. Who wouldn't want life to be easier, safer, more comfortable? But comfort is like a drug that requires increasingly higher doses to achieve the same effect. The more comfortable you become, the less capable you are of handling any discomfort, which makes you even more dependent on the systems providing that comfort. The most insidious part of this trade is how it's marketed as progress, empowerment, and self-care. You deserve to have things easy, the marketers whisper. Life's too short to struggle unnecessarily. Why make things harder for yourself when technology can solve your problems? But here's what they don't tell you. Every problem that technology solves for you is a capability you lose. When GPS navigates for you, you lose your sense of direction. When calculators compute for you, you lose mathematical intuition. When social media connects you, you lose the ability to build genuine relationships. When entertainment platforms curate content for you, you lose the capacity for independent cultural exploration. You're not becoming more capable, you're becoming more dependent, more fragile, more controllable. Perhaps the cruelest irony is that in seeking comfort and safety, you've made yourself infinitely more vulnerable than your ancestors ever were. They might have faced physical dangers, but they possessed mental resilience, practical skills, and genuine community bonds. You live in unprecedented physical safety but with unprecedented psychological fragility, complete dependence on systems you don't understand, and social isolation masked by digital connection. Your ancestors could survive without electricity, without supply chains, without institutional support. Could you? The comfort you've traded your freedom for isn't just making you weak, it's making you unnecessary, replaceable, disposable. And the most terrifying part is that most people are so comfortable in their cages that they'll attack anyone who suggests the door might be unlocked. So here we are, standing at the crossroads between Huxley's nightmare and your potential awakening. The first step to breaking free from the pleasure prison isn't some grand revolutionary act. It's the simple, terrifying decision to sit alone with yourself for just 10 minutes without any external stimulation. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. If that idea makes you squirm, congratulations, you've identified your first prison bar. Most people can't handle even 5 minutes of solitude because they've forgotten who they are underneath all the noise, all the consumption, all the constant input. But in that silence, that discomfort, that boredom you've been avoiding, that's where your authentic self has been waiting patiently for your return. Breaking free requires what I call deliberate discomfort, intentionally choosing the harder path when the easier one is available. Walk instead of driving when possible. Read books instead of watching videos. Cook instead of ordering takeout. Have face-to-face conversations instead of texting. Pay with cash instead of credit. These aren't just lifestyle choices. They're acts of rebellion against a system designed to make you dependent and passive. Every time you choose effort over ease, you're rebuilding the mental muscles that consumer culture has systematically weakened. It's like physical therapy for your soul, rebuilding capabilities that you didn't even realize you'd lost. The discomfort you feel isn't punishment, it's your authentic self trying to break through decades of conditioning. You also need to become a detective in your own life, investigating the influences that shape your thoughts, desires, and behaviors. Start paying attention to how you feel before and after consuming different types of media, food, or entertainment. Notice how certain activities leave you energized and others drain you. Recognize the difference between genuine satisfaction and the temporary relief of feeding an addiction. Most importantly, start questioning your automatic responses and programmed preferences. Do you actually like that music, or did Spotify's algorithm train you to like it? Do you genuinely need that purchase, or did targeted advertising create that need? The goal isn't to become paranoid but to become conscious, to reclaim your agency from the forces that have been exercising it on your behalf. Perhaps the most crucial element of breaking free is building what I call anti-fragile independence, developing the skills, mindset, and community connections that make you less dependent on the systems designed to control you. Learn to grow some of your own food, repair your own possessions, entertain yourself without screens, find meaning in creation rather than consumption. Build genuine relationships with people who challenge your thinking rather than just validate your opinions. Cultivate practices like meditation, journaling, or long walks that connect you with your inner wisdom rather than external authorities. The goal isn't to become a survivalist hermit, it's to become someone who participates in modern society by choice rather than necessity, someone who uses technology as a tool rather than being used by it. Because here's the ultimate truth that Huxley understood. The pleasure prison only works as long as you don't realize you hold the keys. So here we are at the moment of truth, and I've got a question that's going to determine the rest of your life. Are you going to close this video and immediately reach for your phone to scroll through the very platforms I just exposed as control mechanisms? Or are you going to do something that'll terrify the systems profiting from your addiction, actually apply what you've learned? Because here's the brutal reality. Knowledge without action is just intellectual entertainment, another form of pleasurable distraction that makes you feel smart while keeping you exactly where you are. The choice you make in the next 60 seconds will reveal whether you're ready to break free or whether you're still too comfortable in your pleasure prison. I challenge you, no, I dare you, to implement just one thing from this video today. Put your phone in another room for 2 hours. Say no to a purchase you were about to make impulsively. Skip one episode of that series you're binge watching and sit in silence instead. Choose one moment of deliberate discomfort over automatic comfort. It sounds simple, but your brain is going to rebel against it like a drug addict being denied their fix. That resistance you feel? That's not you. That's the programming fighting to maintain control. Every moment of discomfort you push through is a vote for your authentic self over your conditioned self. But here's what I really want you to understand. Breaking free from the pleasure prison isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice, a constant choice between easy slavery and difficult freedom. Huxley's warning wasn't just about recognizing the problem. It was about having the courage to live differently in a world designed to make different living nearly impossible. You're going to need reminders, strategies, and constant reinforcement to maintain your liberation in a culture that profits from your dependence. Which is exactly why I create content like this, to be your guide in reclaiming your humanity from forces that see you as nothing more than a data point and a revenue stream. If this video opened your eyes to the invisible chains around your wrists, then you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell, not because I need the numbers, but because you need the support. Every week, I'm going to challenge another assumption, expose another control mechanism, and give you practical strategies for living as a free human being in an increasingly unfree world. The algorithms don't want you to see this content because it threatens their business model. Your subscription is your vote for consciousness over conditioning, for truth over comfortable lies. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because the pleasure prison only works when people don't realize they're trapped. Your liberation starts the moment you help someone else see their chains. The question is, are you brave enough to break free? Or will you choose the comfort of your cage? The choice, for perhaps the first time in years, is actually yours.